There's a certain kind of person who will do everything right in a relationship, show up, be present, try harder than most, and still feel like something is missing. Not from the other person. From themselves. Like they are standing outside a window, watching everyone else do something naturally that they have to consciously think through every single time. They are not cold. They are not selfish. If anything, they care too much. They just don't always know what to do with that caring. So it comes out sideways, as over-explaining, as distance, as giving too much too soon, or holding back when someone finally gets close enough to matter. Most people who meet them assume they are emotionally unavailable, guarded, difficult. And those people aren't entirely wrong, but they are not seeing the full picture either. What they are seeing is someone who was handed all the ingredients for love, loyalty, empathy, deep feeling, but never given the recipe. Someone who grew up watching love happen around them without ever being taught what it was supposed to look like up close. This isn't about being broken. It's not about damage in the dramatic sense. It's something quieter and far more common than anyone admits. The psychology around this is genuinely fascinating, because what we call the ability to love isn't really one thing. It's a collection of learned behaviors, emotional reflexes, and nervous system responses that get shaped, almost entirely, before we're old enough to understand what's happening to us. Researchers studying attachment theory, particularly the work done after John Bowlby's foundational studies, found that children don't learn how to connect from being told to connect. They learn from experiencing consistent, attuned connection from a caregiver. When a child is upset and a parent responds, not perfectly, just reliably, the child's nervous system learns something critical. Closeness is safe. Vulnerability leads to comfort, not danger. But when that attunement isn't there, when parents are emotionally inconsistent, or distant, or dealing with their own unprocessed pain, the child's nervous system adapts. It doesn't conclude that love is impossible. It concludes that love is unpredictable. And unpredictable things need to be managed carefully. That adaptation is not a wound. It's intelligence. The nervous system did exactly what it was designed to do. It protected the child from something it couldn't control. The problem is that the nervous system doesn't update automatically when circumstances change. The child becomes an adult. The caregivers are gone. The relationship is different. But the internal wiring remains, still watching, still calculating, still managing. So intimacy feels like exposure rather than warmth. Saying "I love you" feels like handing someone a weapon. Receiving affection feels almost more uncomfortable than being ignored, because it's unfamiliar, and unfamiliar, to a nervous system tuned for survival, reads as unsafe. These aren't choices. They don't happen because someone decided they'd rather keep people at a distance. They happen because the brain learned, really learned, at a structural level, that closeness comes with conditions. That love is something you earn, or something you lose, not something that simply exists. And here's the part that often gets overlooked entirely. People who were never taught how to love are often the most generous people in a room. They give. They fix. They show up in the middle of the night. They remember things. They make sure everyone else is okay. That generosity isn't accidental. It's the love they do know how to express, love as usefulness, love as reliability, love as proving that they are worth keeping. Because at some point, very early, that was the version of love available to them. And they became excellent at it. The part they struggle with isn't giving. It's receiving. It's allowing someone to stay without waiting for the moment they leave. It's believing that someone could want them, not for what they do, but simply for who they are when they are not doing anything at all. None of this is better or worse than the way someone else experiences love. Some people grew up in homes where affection was loud and constant and still find intimacy difficult. Others came from silence and found their own language for it. The nervous system is not a moral system. It doesn't judge the environment it was shaped in, it just responds to it. And that means the way someone loves, or struggles to love, says nothing about their worth. Nothing about their capacity. It only tells the story of what they were taught was safe. There's a particular kind of loneliness that lives inside this experience. It's not the loneliness of being alone. It's the loneliness of being in a room full of people who seem to understand something you were never told. Like everyone received an instruction manual at some point, and yours got lost before it arrived. And the strange thing is, the longing is there. It's always been there. The desire to be known, to be held without having to manage it, to stop bracing for the moment when things fall apart. That desire doesn't disappear just because it was never mirrored back. It just goes quiet. It learns to wait. What's worth knowing? and this matters, is that the nervous system that learned one thing can encounter new information, not through willpower, and not through deciding to simply be different, but through slow, repeated experiences of safety that the brain eventually can't argue with. A relationship where closeness doesn't end in abandonment. A friendship that remains after conflict. A moment of vulnerability that doesn't get used against you. It doesn't happen quickly, and it doesn't erase what came before. But the wiring is not permanent in the way it can feel. The brain that learned to protect itself is the same brain capable of learning, eventually, that it doesn't have to anymore. That's not a small thing. That's actually everything. If something in this felt familiar, not just intellectually, but somewhere quieter, there's a good chance this is only part of the picture. The way someone was taught to love shapes more than their relationships. It shapes the way they see themselves when no one is watching. And that part of the story is worth understanding too.